you're a leader, young, or you're a manager, or you've been started to found your own projects, become a founder or become a director, whoever you are, but you are in a leadership role. So in this video, I'm going to give you the 5 dysfunctions of a team so you can fix any relationship problem in your life, at your work, and can build a great team like mastermind team to achieve your personal life and career life goals. You want that, right? So let's get started.
After working like last 15 years in IT field, this is what I realized. What is IT? Yeah.
Sure, thank you.
So let's give a big hand to these student leaders to bring the training to you. Why don't you give a big hand to them?
So before I start talking about this one, I think you really need to understand what makes a team, what makes a relationship, or what makes a even a friendship. It's all about one thing. What's that? It's the people and the relationship between the people. Even when you talk about company, we often think about a name, we talk thinking about a logo, but end of the day, a company is built of the people. So to make a successful team or even a relationship, you need to have a proper skill set or leadership power to drive your projects or initiative or relationship towards success. And in this video, I will tell you the 5 dysfunctions of your team which you may have, and that is why you are not achieving bigger goal. Or if you already become very successful, you can actually assess what is your weakest point among all of these 5, and you can solve it and you can be more successful. So let's get ready. Number 1, the absence of trust. So in your team members, it's so much important that they have to have the right trust. And when it's a good sign and what it's a negative sign of the trust is about vulnerability. When the team members are not really showing what is their weaknesses to each other and not helping each other, not covering each other weaknesses. So this is where the first dysfunction happens. So everyone pretend like they are super good, they have no weaknesses because they are not comfortable talking about weakness, because they probably don't know that they're going to get supported, or probably they will be bogged down or kicked out of the team because exposing their weaknesses. So that is the first issues or dysfunctions of your team is your lack of trust. And because the lack of trust, it's actually leading to a big risk, because your team member does not shows what is your team is actually working on and what is their weaknesses. So you don't know what is waiting for you. So that was the dysfunction number 1, the lack of trust. The number two conflict, the dysfunction of the relationship is a lack of fear of conflict. You need to have enough amount of healthy amount of conflict to inside your team. Your team really need to speak it up, what they're really passionate about and what they really think about on their own perspective. Because it's so much important that you have multiple team members in your team and each of them has their own perspective. So being a leader or a team member, your role will be to actually look through everybody's team member rather than just thinking about one person is right. And when you have these dysfunctions, this particular 2, they actually doesn't speak it out what they really think and what they really want to do and what they think is actually good for the team. And that's actually lead to your artificial harmony or fake harmony. So that means your team's having a big dysfunctions and they never speak it out what is right and what they really care about and what is the particular problem. And your teams will never become achieving the right goals or bigger goals which you're aiming for. So that was the dysfunction number 2, where the lack and fear of conflict inside of your team. The dysfunction number 3 is a lack of accountability. So in the lack of accountability means you have a lot of team members, they are all talking, talking about the problems, but none of the team member actually bringing any solutions and not actually saying somebody that, hey, give it to me, I'm going to take this one and get it done. So this is something, a big issues or often teams to happen, that then you will end up having a team full of problem, everybody talking full of problems as well too, and nobody giving solution. And that's exactly is a good symptom for you when you're looking and sitting in a team and everybody talking about a problem, none of actually saying the solution and saying that, all right, give it to me, I'm going to get it done. So this is the dysfunction number 3, is a lack of commitment. So dysfunction number 3 is a lack of commitment. When the lack of commitment happens, there's a lot of people talking about different kind of problem, and you actually giving them somebody to do it, and then they actually will not work on it, and they will not actually come back to you and update you what is happening into it. As a person, you need to follow up with that person and say that, hey, what is happening? Have you get it done? What is the new update about it? So that is a good sign for you to figure out there is actually lack of commitment into the team members, and particular team members who actually not feeding everyone in the table about what they have done or what is the particular issue. And you know what? When the lack of accountability happen, people always like to push the balls to and one people to another people. And then you see your team is exactly like a Barcelona football team. Everybody is pushing the balls to each other, and actually no one is actually taking the shot to the goal bar and actually where is your goal, right? Where you want it to go. Avoidance of accountability. You got a team and you got either team members. Everybody in the team rooms are talking about the problems. Everybody talking about their problems, and nobody actually telling anything about solution. So that's the symptom number 1. You have a dysfunction level 4, and if even you see that and no one actually saying that give it to me, I'm going to get it done for you. That's a clear signal that your team has this dysfunction where everybody is talking about the problem, no one is proposing any solutions, and no one is actually saying that I want to get it done. So if you have these issues in your team, so that means you have a dysfunction level number 4, and you need to work on it to solve that. And now let's talk about the last one. So the last one is a focus on results. So you got a team and everybody talking about focusing so much about processes, talking about updates, talking about information, having a long meetings, but actually you are not getting anything done. What is going to be next? There is no result. Everybody is focusing about their positions, their titles, and their egos. Everybody thinking about they are right. So even you see in a particular team member that's thinking that they're always right, that person has this problem, and your team already has this problem having this dysfunction. Number 5, which is about lack of focus, because you probably as a founder, or you probably as a CEO, or you probably a director, and you have a particular team, your focus should not be just you are always right. If you think that you are always right in your team, you have this dysfunction, because it's always as a team, your focus should be to work on that one, what is right. And it can come from any team members, not only you. So that is something really important, that being a founder, director, or CEO, or a leader, you actually figure out what is most right rather than figuring out you are right. And when you do this one, your team will be highly successful. So that's why it's so important that if you see any particular team member treating themselves based on their position, their ego, and their title, you have this dysfunction. So guys, these are the things I want to summarize with you. There are 5 dysfunctions you may have in your team, and that is going to leading you to big failure, or you already failed, or you are not achieving bigger goals because you have in different severity level of these 5 dysfunctions. Number 1, I just wanted to summarize you. Number 1, absence of trust. Number 2, fear of conflict. Number 3, fear of commitment. Number 5, avoidance of accountability. And number 5 is focus on the result. So if you're leading your team and working on to solve your bigger goals or solving a particular problem, or you are an employee or a manager, or if you're a CEO or a functional team, always focus on these 5 dysfunction. Always look for it. Is there any one of them is happening in your team? And if you have it, work on it and solve it. And that's how you can be more successful. Your team will be more successful, because at the end of the day, again, when you're a leader, the more success your team become, more successful you become as a leader. That's the thing, is the key point. All the best.